A brief history of reflexology. Let's share the screen so that you can see. This is exactly what you've got in the information, but I'm just going to look through it so that we can go through it together. So here is an illustration. It's called by us the tomb of the physician, which and it looks as if they're giving some form of treatment to hand and feet on here. So this was over 2,000 years BC, tomb of Ankh-Mahor. And it's known that North American Indians practice some form of foot therapy for hundreds of years. We're really behind in the West. With Dr. William Fitzgerald, he is credited as inventing, if you like, zone therapy. But there were meridians before now that the Chinese were using, and he was very, very well traveled. So it's wondered if these meridians and zones are a similar thing. But that was the beginning of reflexology, but not as we know it. He passed it on to another doctor called Joe Shelby Riley, and he started working on the ears. And he was working with his wife Elizabeth, and they were really keen on what Dr. Fitzgerald was being able to do. He was a surgeon, and he was able to perform small surgeries by tying implements to fingers and doing things on one part of the body to affect another part of the body. So he was not like a normal doctor, if you like. Well, along came Eunice Ingham, who was a young physiotherapist that worked with Joe Shelby Riley, and she saw what they were talking about with this zone therapy, that there were zones throughout the body that you could work on. And she thought, well, if these zones end at your feet and hands, then you should be able to work on your hands and feet instead of working on the actual body, because they were working on the actual body. So she actually made the first foot chart. You may have seen the foot chart on here that you're going to be drawing. So she actually made the first foot chart and mapped out the feet of the body. She's written 2 books called Stories the Feet Can Tell and Stories the Feet Have Told. And I'll tell you, they are absolutely worth reading. They are not dry by any means. And what she was doing was trying out reflexology on her neighbour and on her family, and finding where the reflex was and making notes of it and what was making a difference. Yeah. Her nephew worked with her for many years, and he was equally keen on promoting reflexology and extending its use. And he died. He lived to a very old age, and he died in the year 2020. But that's the brief history of reflexology. It's exploded since then. We've got RLD, which is reflexology lymphatic drainage with Sally Kay. That's a new protocol that works on lymph, but it's also doing the most amazing things. We've got pain reflexology with Dr. Carol Samuel. There's maternity reflexology with Jenny Tribe. There's fertility reflexology with Barbara Scott. There are so many avenues to go down, but of course you need to be a properly trained reflexologist. But isn't it exciting that you can learn and start treating your family, and this is carrying on the tradition that started way back when with Eunice Ingham. So she only died in 1974, which I know that's a long time ago to many of you, but it's not like in the midst of time, is it? It's not like as old as Hippocrates or anything like that. But that's the brief looking at the history, and I think it's important that you know where it came from.